Hello, Pokemon trainers. This is your Digital Super Saiyan 3 back here with another video, and welcome to my first ever Pokemon anime retro review of a particular episode of the Pokemon anime. Particularly Season 1, Episode 14, Electric Shock Showdown. Definitely one of my favorite episodes of Season 1. It's not my all-time favorite Season 1 episode, but it is still up there. It is still up there as one of my favorites. So, let's get on to the review. Here is Pokemon Season 1, Episode 14, Electric Shock Showdown. We begin with the trio of Ash, Brock, and Misty, along with Pikachu, arriving in Vermilion City. After being lost for 2 weeks, Misty talks about wanting to take a bubble bath, and, Ash wants to go to the gym. But before he can go to the gym, Pikachu collapses from hunger. And they realize, oh, Pikachu is hungry. And then Ash's stomach rumbles, and Ash is like, yeah, we could go for a stop at the Pokemon Center. So our heroes stop at the Pokemon Center right before they go to the Vermilion Gym. And as they get to the Pokemon Center, they see the victims of many battles against Lieutenant Surge, the Vermilion Gym, as many Pokemon were injured during the battle against Surge. Well, from various battles against Surge. We see the likes of Sandshrew, Oddish, Pidgey. We see a lot of different Pokemon that were taken down by Surge. And Ash is like saying, yeah, well, that's not going to happen to me. And then Misty is like, I don't know, Ash. Me and Brock gave you gym badges, and seeing you get whooped by Surge would make us look bad. And, Misty and Ash have a bit of an argument here. And Nurse Joy says, this is a hospital. And then Nurse Joy basically says, if two people argue as much as you two, that means they care for each other. And then Misty and Ash said, no way! So, Ash's Pokemon get looked over, and they are done being looked over. So, Ash, along with Pikachu, or Ash grabs Pikachu and he says, alright Pikachu, let's go. And Pikachu's like scared at first because he doesn't want to go to the gym. He's just like looking over there saying, no, I don't want to go. And Ash is like, you fear that you're going to end up like those other Pokemon. But don't worry. You won't if you win. And, of course, right before Ash and the others go off to the gym, we basically see a Pidgey being carried off on a girder. On a gurney. After the Pidgey had just suffered a humiliating beating from Surge. Well, given that Surge is an electric-type gym leader and Pidgey's a flying type, yeah. So, our heroes finally go up to the gym. And Misty is basically saying to Ash, I bet you're probably going to get your butt kicked. And Ash is like, I am not. Yeah. This was still Season 1. And yeah, true, Ash and Misty did argue a lot throughout the series. But they've come to care for one another. This shows how much development went into the first 5 seasons, especially developing the bond between Ash, Misty, and Brock. Now, Ash, Misty, and Brock enter the Vermilion Gym. and they are greeted by two people who are Surge's attendants. And one calls over Surge and he said, "Hey boss, we got some challengers." And then we meet Surge, and he is a massive hulking sized guy. Like, he is huge. He is a big dude, as tall as a freaking skyscraper, and he comes up to Misty and he says, well, he thinks Misty is the challenger that's going to challenge him, and Misty's like, I'm not the challenger. And then Ash says, no, I am. And then Surge goes into calling Ash a baby, and then mocks Pikachu. Oh, and this fires up Pikachu, especially when Surge brings out his Raichu, the Pokemon who was responsible for taking down those dozens of different Pokemon. Yes, Surge's Raichu was so strong it took down a Sandshrew. You know, a ground type. You know, which has an advantage over an electric type like Raichu. Anyway, so the battle is a 1v1. Pikachu starts off trying to attack Surge's Raichu, but it does not go so well for Pikachu, as Raichu just spends the entirety of this first battle giving Pikachu a complete thrashing. Ash's Pikachu is just getting thrashed here, but he refuses to give up. And Surge's Raichu just gave it quite the thrashing. And you see Team Rocket, you know, who were watching this battle. Yeah, Team Rocket does not do anything but cheer Pikachu on throughout this episode. Yeah, they don't even attempt to try to steal Pikachu. Heck, they don't even make plans to try to steal Raichu from Surge. No, they just spend the entire episode just watching Pikachu face off against Raichu. So, Pikachu is taken back to the Pokemon Center after its first battle with Raichu. And of course, I forgot to mention that according to Dexter, the Pokedex, it also said that Raichu's Thunder is so strong it can KO a Dragonite. And Dragonite are really strong Pokemon. Anywho, Pikachu is being treated, and Nurse Joy, and you see Ash, you know, Ash is rightfully upset that, you know, he's really bummed out about this, but Misty is like saying, yeah, I guess it doesn't feel good to get your butt kicked, but I really am worried about Pikachu. Brock said, well, Pikachu's pride got hurt. I mean, I know Pikachu got hurt physically, but his pride got hurt too. But then, good old Nurse Joy decides to have a solution, as she had a box with a Thunderstone inside. Now, this is the episode that introduced us to evolution stones, as the Thunderstone was the first evolution stone we see in the franchise. Or in the entirety of the anime, I meant to say, in the anime franchise. Ash looks at it, and you see he has to he is given the hardest choice. Should I use this to win? Or should I let Pikachu stay the way he is? Knowing that Pikachu will never be the same once he evolves. And we also learned that Surge mentioned that if he Now, Surge evolved his Pokemon as soon as possible, as soon as he got his Raichu. So, Ash, being Ash, you know, he basically wants Pikachu to decide. But then, Pikachu said, no, I want to be who I want to be. And I choose to stay a Pikachu. I choose... I want to beat Raichu the way I am. And you see me out translating all this while Team Rocket are just watching from the window. And you see them tearing up for this, as they are rooting for Pikachu. So, as soon as Pikachu is healed up, Ash and Pikachu begin walking towards the gym for their rematch with Surge. And of course, Ash says, our Destiny Star is guiding us forward. And then Misty's like, where? I don't see a star. And Ash is like, it's a figure of speech. And of course, Brock even told gave Ash a good strategy here, as he tells Ash that Raichu didn't learn all the speedy attacks that it should have learned in the Pikachu stage. Anywho, right as Pikachu and Ash are heading back to the gym to confront Surge, they are greeted by Team Rocket, who are dressed like Jotaro Kujo from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Yes, we see Team Rocket rock some JoJo fashion. Look, yes, JoJo is a series from the 80s, and it did eventually get its modern-day remastering in the 2010s, but still, it counts for something here, as they are willing to make a JoJo's reference. Anywho, we see Team Rocket give a great cheer to Pikachu to cheer it on, to prove that it is worth stealing. Of course, after their cheer, Misty says, "Thank you, Team Rocket," knowing that it's Team Rocket because they started off trying to recite words from their motto, and their disguise was definitely the most obvious. Alright, so Ash returns to the Vermilion Gym to challenge Surge for a rematch for that Thunder Badge. And Surge is like, I'm disappointed you didn't have the guts to evolve your Pikachu. And Ash says, we'll win this time, Surge. And, of course, Raichu starts off with the early offense. He gets the early offense in, right as he's attempting to go for a second body slam on Pikachu. Pikachu manages to dodge it. And we see Ash use a lot of agility in this battle. Okay, the rematch between Pikachu and Raichu here is just so great here. This is basically the second best Kanto gym battle, and there is no Team Rocket shenanigans to interrupt this gym battle whatsoever. Anywho, Raichu basically faces off against Pikachu's speedy attacks, and he is taking a hit after hit from Pikachu. But Raichu tries to use its powerful Thunder Shock after missing body slam after body slam after body slam. Knowing that Raichu never mastered all of the speedy attacks needed to learn in the Pikachu stage, as Brock would point out. So, of course, Raichu ends up trying to give one nasty Thunderbolt. But Pikachu anchored himself to dodge it using his tail. But Pikachu prevails, defeating Raichu at his own game. And Pikachu overcomes the odds to beat Raichu in this great comeback story. impressing Surge, and Surge then awards Ash the Thunder Badge as Ash receives his third gym badge. And Ash celebrates by saying, "I got the Thunder Badge!" And, of course, now our heroes then set off towards the next gym as they continue on their journey to become a Pokemon Master. And, of course, there is Team Rocket, who realized, "Oh man, we didn't attempt to steal Pikachu this whole episode," breaking the fourth wall, and then the narrator says, "You got that right, James. Better luck next time." I love the amount of fourth wall breaking there was in Season 1 of Pokemon. Anyway, that was Electric Shock Showdown. Final thoughts? It's a great episode, and definitely one of the best that the first season had to offer. The first season had some great bangers of episodes, and there are also some crazier episodes too, but this one definitely holds a place in the hearts of many. Anyway, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I will see you guys next time when I do SummerSlam 2008. See ya!